newest members of the Vancouver Canucks front office and the player development side. Our pleasure to welcome to the program, Mr. Mike Komisarek. Hi, Mike. Congratulations on the appointment.
Thank you very much, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
More than welcome. Tell us, how did all of this come about?
Oh, man. Try to keep it short. Sometimes I ramble on, but no, I got, I know Cammi Granato and Ryan Johnson, who I haven't, I've never met in the past. I know they were doing an extensive search and had their list and looking at potential folks and, found out that my name was on the list and, then started having conversations with the both of them, understanding, what they were looking for. And then I was sharing my approach and my experiences at, the University of Michigan and in Buffalo. And, the more we started talking, I always had a niche to get back into the game. The thing with hockey is the longer you stay out of the game, you're almost forgotten. If you're not seen in around the rinks, you're not at the draft, you're just almost forgotten, passed by. So the more I talked with them, the more excited I got. I knew they were building out the player development department. And, I knew they valued and saw the importance of the role and how essential it was to kind of bridging the players from that draft stage to the NHL. These kids get drafted on potential and certain skill sets, and so much work gets done behind the scenes during that process, during those years, to help them, put on that NHL jersey, not for a cup of tea, but hopefully have, long, significant, successful careers. Hopefully on a Stanley Cup winning team. So I got excited about the opportunity. Obviously with Jim Rutherford and Patrick Galvin. These guys are experienced. They know what it takes. They've won multiple times. I didn't have a chance to win a Stanley Cup when I was playing. So I thought this was maybe a good opportunity to have my hand, a small part, an important part. In helping the organization.
We want to get into the nuts and bolts of what you're going to be doing on the ice and what the goals are here for the department. But I think people are probably wondering, like, where does one come by? Oh, I'm on this list. Like, where is that grapevine, if you will? Is there a scouting app or player development app that people are chatting about all this? Like, where are you getting the scuttlebutt from? Your agent?
No agent, even though he kind of he heard whispers that something was going on, but it's a small hockey world. There's a lot of crossovers between teams, organizations. Like I said, with Jim and Patrick in Pittsburgh, with Jason Botterill, my boss, I'm sure there was maybe a dialogue there. They asked, how was the experience for them? But yeah, it's a small world and everyone's looking for an opportunity, a job to prove their worth, to be of value to the organization, to be an asset. And, I remember Randy Sexton, who's in Minnesota now, telling me, these guys are just flooded with emails, phone calls, like every day, every week. They're just, filtering through, folks that just would die to work in the league, that are just probably passionate and have the same love and enthusiasm I did when I was playing and still, hold to this day. So hopefully that answers a little bit.
Mm-hmm. The passion and enthusiasm hasn't seemed to wane here, Mike. What else do you bring to the table? Tell us what you think your strengths are and why it's suited for this role.
So, I was a first-round draft pick. I had ups and downs, played 11 years. I was a power play guy at Michigan, and then I came in to the NHL, and I quickly found out that I was not going to be on the power play, and you adjust your game. But I think it's, I think a lot of the stuff when you get drafted, it's, I always equate it to the success that you're going to have in the upcoming season is usually determined by the work and the effort, the dedication, the commitment you put in the off season. I think you got to understand, you got to be honest with yourself. A simple thing is like self-evaluation. A lot of these kids, they might think one thing, but then you talk to their coaches or strength coach and it doesn't line up. So helping these kids establish good habits, a structure, a routine. I think the Canucks are going to, great franchise, great hockey market. They have tremendous resources, whether it's the strength and conditioning, the mental skills psychologist, video assets where, you're not necessarily, I know we got a bunch of prospects in Sweden, Finland. You're watching these kids' shifts, and you're breaking down the game. How is your stick position, D zone coverage, net front battles, all these little nuances in the game that you kind of give them awareness, help them understand, help them build. They're going to make mistakes, right? I mean, I made mistakes. The game is all about mistakes, but what are your takeaways? How are you growing and adapting? So I think it's a critical role, and having played, you do feel like you have a nugget to pass along. I got drafted by Montreal, and I didn't speak to anyone for my freshman. Afterwards, I didn't talk to anyone for 2 years till I signed with Montreal. And now, my role in Buffalo, you're talking to your guys on a weekly basis on the strength coach. You're visiting them. You're building a bond, a relationship, a trust, right? Like when I played, it was, you were just told what to do and don't ask questions. Now I think you're doing a lot of listening, seeing what these kids are going through, what kind of, how are they analyzing, how they see their situation, their role, and you're just kind of helping them navigate all these different, I guess you could say, noises, white noise, and help them get focused on what's important and what they need to do and how they're going to do it.
Sometimes even the best laid plans go up in dust. So, you haven't done it yet, so you don't necessarily know what a fortnight looks like. But what can you imagine the day-to-day of this gig looking like? How many times are you putting on skates much, do you think? What does it look like?
I know we'll be up the draft. We'll meet. We'll be, one of the first, folks that these guys meet in the organization. And then, you'll go up to development camp up in Vancouver. I think it's, the 10th through the 15th. And then, you're looking to forge, like I said, a bond, a trust, a relationship with these kids that you carry over when they go home. And then you're seeing, all right, well, what does, I think you do some testing at the development camp. All right, well, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? And you kind of help them bridge that gap. And, then you probably see some of the kids at rookie camp later in September before the big boys come in. And so you're getting all these touches and just keeping tabs on them on a weekly basis. What's going on? What are you doing? Like I said, bridging, helping using the resources with the team. But phone calls, you're watching video with shifts. I think there's so many great articles out there with other Ds and players, what they're going through, what kind of adversity that they face and overcome. So it's kind of all encompassing.
What are the rules with do CHL teams care if you pay a weekend visit to a draft pick and sit down with them and do that sort of video work, or the universities, are you allowed to pay a visit and talk to your prospect and that sort of thing? What are the rules around college and CHL?
Yeah, I mean, you literally what is it, Instat? I forget the program that we use in Buffalo, but you could easily pull up these shifts. Everything's either online or on the cloud, and you're kind of either, if you're at the game, you're sitting there with your notepad, and every shift you're kind of picking apart good things, bad things. This is what I love. This is what this is an area we could improve. Your gaps, your kind of ozone blue line play, all these little things. For the most part, my experience, the coaches in the CHL, the NCAA, they're all very open and honest. I think you're there not to pluck them out and get them into your system. I think you're there to help them. I mean, I'm working for these kids. I'm trying to help them be better players on their current teams. So I think you're always kind of trying to navigate those relationships. Some folks, some teams are easier to deal with, but my experiences have been very positive. You're coming in there to help these kids, and it has to be genuine, it has to be authentic. Like, sure. I'm not just trying to check a box, but it's been really positive for me, and I haven't really had any problems in the past.
What's the best piece of advice you can give a young first rounder going to a Canadian market, Mike? And in your case, I imagine there might have been some culture shock on top of being a high draft
You
pick.
played in a couple markets.
Yeah.
No, Montreal, a little bit, but I think there's got to be, the only, I would probably put it this way: the only ceiling is the one that you put on yourself, right? People are going to tell you, they're going to see you in a certain light, who you are, who they think you should be, and you got to have a vision what does, say, like talk about myself, like Mike Komisarek, what does he look like? What is he going to do in the NHL? Like shift to shift, game to game, year to year, and then build backwards. What do I have to do to get there on a day-to-day basis, on and off the ice? What kind of goals do I have in 2 years, 3 years? Do I want to be a first pair guy? Do I, for me, it was, I had 2010, like the Olympics were in Vancouver, right? Like I remember training in the summer of 2007, and all right, my strength coach actually brought it up to me. He's like, "Why can't you be on that team?" And I'm kind of laughing at him at first, but then you start believing, like, all right, maybe this can happen. And then sure enough, I got named to the team, but I ended up getting hurt the next night after they named the team in Calgary. So I didn't play, but things like that, I think, what else? What other advice? You got to believe in yourself, right? Like there's people who are always going to question, being in these big markets, knowing who you are and believing in that person, knowing that you put the work in the summers and you paid a price. I always kind of thought my season was always dictated. Obviously, there's different roles and opportunities during the year. Things got to match up. But instead of waiting for a door or a role to open up, create that, like demand that role. But like I said, you got to believe in yourself and know that you're capable and willing. You put the work in, and only you can't fool yourself type of thing.
He's out of your purview now in this organization, but what do you think of this Wolverine kid, Quinn Hughes? How's he done so far?
You think he might make it?
Oh man. I don't get to see the West Coast teams as often. I'm based on the East Coast here. So, obviously I saw him a bunch when I was with Buffalo. We had a kid in Wisconsin. We had a kid in Minnesota. So I got him to play. I got to watch him play a ton. World-class skater, puck mover. The way I was a plumber with the puck. This guy's an artist. You get that puck in his hands, he's making things happen. He's creating, he's finding open ice, making people miss. Just creativity offensively is amazing. And the kid's grown like every year, right? How many years has he been in the league? 3-4 years? If that, I don't even know. But just a tremendous talent and a cornerstone. You look at these teams in the playoffs now. They all have this high-end skilled D-man. And, just a tremendous player and one that I'm sure, the team is thrilled to have.
Lastly, Mike, between yourself and Chris Higgins, Long Island representing in the Canucks player development department. Amazing that I was just looking at the history between the two of you, both drafted in the first round by the Montreal Canadiens in back-to-back years. You guys seemingly have been joined at the hip here going back to Long Island.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Higgs was a tremendous person, player. His dad actually was, our families, we grew up minor hockey, playing on different teams. And, then I got drafted by Montreal and same for him. His dad was a firefighter in New York City who was a lifelong Canadiens fan. So it was pretty special that, we had this bond growing up. And, I'm a big guy. I was a big burly defenseman, and Higgs is, great on his edges. He was tremendously skilled and determined forward. Not a bad guy. We had a good group of guys, but not a bad guy to train with in the summers. The guy was just ripped. He's a specimen off the ice.
Yes.
And, it was fun. So, having that familiarity with Higgs is pretty special. But, I was definitely looking forward to not only working with him, but Ryan Johnson, Cammi Granato, and the Deans are going to be involved. So I think it's a pretty special department that they've built out here.
Well, congratulations again, Mike. Thanks for the time here today. We wish you all the best and look forward to our next conversation down the road.